Welcome to the Manitoba Fitness Council Aquatic Fitness Certification Online Course, Chapter 14. The learning objectives for this particular chapter include the types of leader, instruction professionalism, teaching from the deck versus teaching from the water, teaching tips, communication. We will also go through that performance standard document, looking at the demonstrating and identifying quality, strategies, and skills of effective leadership. The competencies will cover identifying professional qualities of leadership, identify skills and effective aquatic exercise leader, recognize leadership strategies, how to maintain your aquatic fitness certification with the Manitoba Fitness Council, the NFLA communication performance standard. The Aqua Fitness leader will recognize and demonstrate a variety of effective communication techniques and competencies. We will be able to distinguish between verbal and visual cueing, describe how to enhance verbal and visual cueing, explain effective communication, state forms and techniques of giving and receiving feedback, be able to discuss the advantages and challenges of teaching from the deck or in the water, identify techniques to reduce voice injury. We will also be looking at some of the pieces that are picked up in the appendix, including identifying professional qualities with respect to leading aquatic exercise classes. This will include language, manner, attitude, pool deck management, giving and receiving feedback, identifying skills of effective aquatic fitness leaders such as coaching, mentoring, observing, establishing rapport, developing relationships. And we're also going to talk about the difference between participant-centered and instructor-centered classes. If you have taken some of our other certification courses before, this information might not be new to you. We're going to talk about 3 different types of aquatic fitness leaders. First, the autocratic. The autocratic is a boot camp instructor of beginners. This teacher needs to ensure that they are in charge of what the class must follow. It is important in aqua fitness to ensure that the water is something that we respect, and we make sure that people understand that it can be a dangerous place, and we want to make sure that we provide the proper cues and safety cues at all times. A democratic leader will be best in the class if you have taught for a long time. You can ask the students for feedback and provide a class that best meets their needs. This helps foster a student-centered class. Sometimes it's as easy as giving them a choice. Today, do we want to use noodles or aquabells? And that is not a choice that you have to give. Just sometimes it's great for them to be able to choose. It's also great as an instructor, once you get comfortable with your participants, to see what it is that they like better. You also may realize that you've been using one piece of equipment a lot more than the other, and some people prefer the other piece of equipment, so it just gives you an opportunity to take a quick note of who likes what and how you can improve and offer that in classes sometimes as well. The laissez-faire. This may be an instructor that could be doing something like water walking, or an arthritis group that regularly uses the pool but don't require specific directions from the instructor. So basically you're there to monitor, you may be there to change up the activity every once in a while, but it's not the same level of instruction that it is at some of the other types of classes. Here we have a couple of examples of instructor professionalism. So number one thing that you have to work with when you are dealing with and teaching aquatic fitness classes is the attire of yourself. Lots of times people come to class and they are wearing things that do not work very well in an aquatic fitness environment. So as the instructor, you have to make sure that your first impression is going to count, that your suit fits properly, and that it will be all right when you enter or exit the pool swiftly if it's something that you require to get into the pool, or you decide that you are going to do a mixture of teaching from the deck and in the pool. Wearing shorts or leggings at an upward angle is not always flattering. Remember, participants are actually looking up at you, so you want to make sure that what you're wearing is going to look professional on you. You can see by the top picture that we have someone who is in a bikini teaching a fitness class. Not to say that this can't happen. So we have to make sure that we are dressed for the class that we're going to be teaching. So again, dressing for fashion and not for fitness can be really challenging. I find that lots of times when people wear bathing suits to a class, they have a hard time with support. So as we have them jumping up and down in the pool, a lot of bathing suits are just not made for that. So we want to make sure that we provide a good example of what a proper bathing suit could look like if we are teaching from beside the pool. As you can see in the bottom picture, the instructor is wearing tights and a t-shirt, looks like a name tag. The one thing that I don't see on either one of these instructors is shoes. There are shoes that you can buy that actually can go in the water and out of the water. They are the shoes that I use when I'm on the deck because they give you some grip. Pool decks can be ridiculously slippery, so you want to make sure that you have the right attire and the right footwear to be able to safely be on the deck yourself. You might want to look for a suit that has possibly a bra or has wide straps and is supportive. You want to make sure that you introduce yourself to your new students or to your students that have been there before. Make them all feel welcome. Remember to include people and think about this when creating partner drills. So looking around to make sure that you have the proper number of people for partners, or creating a plan so that people will know who they are going to be paired up with. Speak confidently when you asked about the benefits of aquatic fitness or exercise within your class plan. Make sure you are keeping positive, keep smiling, and have great energy. This will reflect back when it comes to your teaching. Depending on the type of class that you're teaching will help determine where you are teaching from. Some people actually teach both from the deck and from in the water, having themselves move in and out of the water as they see fit. Benefits from teaching from the deck allow you to see students a little bit more easily because you are looking down on them. So if you have a student that maybe is getting into trouble that you can call the lifeguard over, you can see that pretty easily from your vantage point. You can also see if people are doing the moves correctly because you can see down into the water. You can help cue them a little bit better. It allows for easier communication. They can hear you a little bit easier because you are talking down from the above the water where the noise is, down to their level. Students can also see you better and understand lower body exercises. So saying that you're going to have the legs move up into a hamstring curl, for instance, if you were in the water, it will be very hard for people to see that. If they don't know what the movement looks like already, sometimes the best explanation is a visual explanation showing people exactly what you want them to do. Teaching from the deck is also best with large classes because as soon as people move a little bit far away from you, sometimes even as much as 10 feet, depending if there's someone in front of you, they may not be able to see you, they may not be able to hear you, and it may be really difficult. One of the things you have to watch out for when you're teaching from the deck is that it's hard to match step with people in the pool. If they are trying to keep up with you, make sure that you are working at a speed that they can attain while in the pool, or try and find music, something around a 128 beat, that allows them to be able to work within that same beat pattern that you are. If you are looking for teaching from the water, some of the options or some of the times that you would teach from the water would be when you have a smaller class, when you have a specialty class, sometimes like an arthritis class where some people actually need you to be very close to them, talking to them. If there's, it actually becomes a lot more personable when you are in the water with them. So sometimes what I do for, a class every once in a while is I will go in and out of the pool. The pool that I teach at is also fairly small. So if I'm in the pool, they can see me. If I'm out of the pool, they can see me. But my participants, for the most part, prefer that I'm out of the pool. And I think that's probably mostly because they can see me, they can hear me, and that's what they're used to. When you're teaching from the water, you're better able to demonstrate speed and other intensity changes in the upper body. So you can have them try and match the speed that you're moving, especially because you're in the water. So you are doing the exact same movement that they are. Sometimes though, when you're in the water, they may have trouble hearing you or even seeing what you're doing. And sometimes this will be a complaint from them. So you have to kind of be careful and decide if it's something that, if you've had the people in your class for a long time and you think that that's not going to be an issue, then you can get in the water with them. Sometimes what you can do is even get out of the pool and sit on a chair at the front of the pool so that you can demonstrate the movement without actually being in the water or having that level of impact. Especially if you're getting in and out of the pool, you have to be very careful because, again, we are wet and slippery and we're out and we're trying to do some of these higher speed movements on the deck, and it can be very dangerous. So we have to be very careful with that. So some people start with teaching a class from the deck for a warm-up. Sometimes they move into the pool when it's appropriate and safe to do so. When there's no lifeguard on duty, so this should not be the case, but if for some reason the lifeguard is either tending to something else or not as accessible to you, you want to make sure that you can see all of your participants. And if you cannot do this in the water, then you need to stay on the deck. The other thing is trying to do any kind of rescue from the water is going to be very, very difficult. And again, it's not something that we're trained for. If you were up on the deck, at least there's options of things that you can throw to them. You don't have to waste the time getting up out of the water over to some of the things that you can help the lifeguard with, or that sort of thing. Here are some teaching tips and techniques that we are going to work through. So number one, be open and friendly. You want to make sure that you are using your body language to communicate that you are friendly, facial expression and listening skills. When you are not emotionally present, it's very obvious to your participants. Make sure that you encourage communication with the group. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll have, during the work part of the class, I'll give them kind of an assignment. So say today, I want you to think about your favorite flower. And then at the end of the class, especially if the class is only 15 or 16 people, you can have them say their favorite flower and their name. Helps people to communicate in the group. Other thing that you can do is you can have, once you are familiar with the group and they are familiar with you and the exercises, you can even do something like a participant's choice class where you allow them to kind of go through, say their name, say which exercise they want to do, and we do that exercise for 30 seconds and then move on. Great way to keep it going, great way to find out what moves people really like, and some of the ones that they may avoid. It'd be interesting to ask after the class why nobody picked those particular movements. You want to make sure that you give feedback and compliments. Provide students with correct feedback and positive compliments. Be encouraging. Sometimes people who come to aquatic fitness, it is sometimes the only exercise that they get in a exercise class environment. So you want to make sure that you don't keep your compliments in, that you say them out loud. I like to use people in the class as an example of what a movement looks like in the water. So for instance, I'm demonstrating it on land, but if there's someone in the class that I think that they can see well, most of them would be able to see, and that is doing it exceptionally well so that they can get an understanding of what that movement looks like, I will say, you know, let's have a look at Shirley at the back. See how she's keeping her knees into her chest, extending them all the way out to the side, bringing them in, extending them out, all the while keeping herself upright in the water with a great level of posture. Try to keep it fun. Something that's really fun to do is themed classes. So one of the favorite classes that I've done is the movie themed class. So what I'll do is I will find soundtrack songs from some of favorite movies kind of gone by, and of course you use the normal ones, you know, something from Grease, maybe something from Breakfast Club. It just depends on who you have in your group. And then you have them, you know, try and remember where they were when they first heard this song while they're exercising or something to that effect. Try and learn their names, especially if you have a small group. Learn about their hobbies and interests. Be sincere and develop good listening skills. One of the things that I like to do is I like to talk about, you know, other things that people do. So, for instance, we had kind of a group challenge last year to try something new. So it had to be something new that was exercise related, or maybe something that you haven't done in a long time. So, for instance, if somebody went skating, you know, we made it a big deal that we would kind of celebrate that new experience, and, you know, it kind of got people excited about different things that people were doing, and it was really a positive experience. And again, sometimes it was, you know, hey, I walked 5 kilometers. I haven't done that in a long time, or I went hiking with my dog, or, you know, something to that effect. So it's all really positive kind of feedback, but again, it allows you to personalize it, allows you to get to know your participants, know what they like, and creating a cohesive group is a really good thing, especially when it comes to this type of exercise program, because they'll start to look after one another and they'll start to become a family, especially if they've been together for a long time. The classes that I teach are a number of them have been together. I've been teaching them for 9 years, but they've been together even longer than that. They know a lot about each other because they've had an opportunity over the years to kind of connect on different things. So you being able to give them those opportunities, small and not compromising the exercise class in any way, but they can be They can be exercising, they can even be doing Kegels and walking and talking, so that it's a real life kind of example of what they need to do with that activity. Want to make sure that you are adaptive, provide modifications to increase or decrease intensity at any time. Oftentimes I'll have someone come into the class and they'll say, I was just a little sore, I slept a little funny last night, my shoulder's a little bit off. So it's not that they're unhealthy, it's just that we have to be able to provide modifications. So maybe for aquatic fitness, having, if they normally use yellow aquatic fitness bells and the blue ones are the lighter ones, you can recommend going down to the blue ones. You can also recommend, if someone is finding that they have jammed their knee at one point, maybe they want to use a belt and move back into the deep water, even if it's a shallow water class, so that you can give them some options so that they feel that they're still able to come out and participate, but they're not feeling that they're going to get hurt as a result of the fact that they're coming out. Progression. If you have a brand new class, they're all brand new, you want to make sure that you don't overwork them. What happens lots of times in a group is that you get the competitive side of people kind of coming out. And so they'll want to go faster, they'll want to go harder, they'll want to do more, run more laps, that sort of thing. And sometimes, especially if they haven't done anything in a long time, that can be something that can create a real challenge. So again, you want to create opportunities for progression. So maybe you start off, with interval training, maybe the Tabata drill that we talked about in unit number 14, maybe you start off with a half a Tabata. So it's 2 minutes, so 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, but you're only doing it 4 times instead of doing it 8. When your group is ready, moving up and allowing for the 8 circuits in the Tabata drill to be completed. And then you want to give some time for them to celebrate their successes. So one of the things that I like to do is after every class, I talk about, how good it feels to work really hard, and that I'm really proud of them, and I'm proud of them for the work that they put in, not in a patronizing way, but in a real personal way. I mean, I talk all the time about, the connection to health and wellness, and it just solidifies that if I can say, look what you did for yourself today. By taking this 40 minutes, by taking this hour and really working hard, you did yourself some real favors and increased your level of health. If you have not done a lot in your career where you are speaking in front of people, you have to be very aware of what your communication says about you and how it communicates your message to the people that are in your classes. So pools are traditionally very loud and acoustically unfriendly, but you don't have to worry too much, because really only 7% of the communication that they're going to get is through your words. 38% of it is actually through tone. And I know that anyone who's had teenagers or children in general, you understand the difference between tone, but you want to make sure that, especially when you're talking to your participants, again, on the last slide, I talked about patronizing tone. You want to make sure that, again, it's a genuine tone. You are encouraging without being fake. You really want to be yourself. That's what people want to see. They want to see an authentic person coming up there, communicating with them on a level where they are appreciating the opportunity that they have to teach this class. 55% of the communication comes from body language. So again, if you show up, your tone is good, your words are good, and you are physically essentially not there, or emotionally not there, they're going to be able to tell. They're going to be able to tell if you're having a bad day. They're going to be able to tell lots of times if you are not prepared. They're going to be able to tell if you don't want to be there, if you feel like you should be somewhere else. So again, you have to be very, very careful. When we are leading fitness classes, it's like we're on a stage. It's game face. You get up on the stage, you do the best job that you can do to communicate to your people, be authentic, try and be really in the moment, as opposed to trying to play it up and trying to be something that you're not. And that will come through, and people will respect you for that. You can also use hand actions to help direct students. So I will do that often, especially what I find is when you have people kind of jogging back and forth in the pool, that seems to be a really good time for them to talk. Not that we're encouraging talking extra amounts, but it happens. So what we do is use body language to say, okay, or So either it's a hand gesture or maybe it's me physically doing the activity and changing it up on the deck so that they can see that the activity has changed, so that I make sure that I'm using my body language to communicate that to them. Make sure you are looking for feedback on your students' faces to see if they are understanding your instructions. If they are, if 2 of the 25 people in your class understand what you said, you need to rephrase it. You need to show it a different way. You need to use different language. You need to use different hand signals. You need to do something differently. Be prepared to stop the class and turn off music to demonstrate better form or safety. Aqua Zumba is a fun kind of opportunity, but one of the things that it's really challenged with is the communication. So I know that we say 7% is words, 55% is body language, but the challenge is that in an Aqua Zumba class, oftentimes the instructor is working way faster than the people in the pool can. What you'll see on the faces of your participants, they will be struggling, they will be frustrated, and they will not be in the same zone as you are. So you have to make sure that you're kind of checking in with them all the time. If you're leading something like an Aqua Zumba song where you maybe are not able to stop in the middle of it and give instruction, maybe before the song comes on, why don't you take some time, teach them the choreography, especially if this is something new. Allow them to learn it so that they feel comfortable, confident, and they were able to move with a smile on their face throughout the movements. Even if they don't get it right away, you've given them an opportunity to learn it ahead of time. One of the most challenging things that people find when they are teaching a fitness class is cueing. What are the words that we use to cue? How do we cue? Are people understanding what we are saying to them? I want to make sure, number one, verbal cues are concise. So for instance, let's talk about the ski. So in a ski, you have people using their opposite arm, opposite leg. So again, we're going to demonstrate this activity on the deck of the pool, showing it nice and slow, but also talking about the fact that, you know, if they have the opposite hand or if they have the same hand, same foot kind of moving, if it feels really awkward, they may be doing it wrong. And there may be an opportunity for you to clearly tell them what they need to do in order to get it right. We want to make sure that we avoid long descriptions of what is to come, just do it. So instead of, you know, taking 25 minutes or 10 minutes at the beginning of class and telling them every single thing you're going to do, it makes sense to say, in 30 seconds, we are going to change to a jog on the spot. Then you kind of give them that opportunity to get ready for that, but you haven't told them what's kind of coming for the whole rest of the class. The only time that I change it up and tell them what's coming for the whole rest of the class is sometimes if we're doing a number of drills, I'll say this is drill 1 of 4 or something like that. But I don't even go into the details of what the drill consists of. I just give them the opportunity to understand that we are going to have several drills kind of like this. Use your fingers to count down. This can be sometimes challenging, but at the same point, we do use counting in aquatic fitness, but not as the only way of kind of counting how many repetitions people are doing. People in the pool move very differently. Some people are fast, some people are slow. So when you are counting down, you can say 4 more, but know that some people will be doing 6 and some people will be doing 3. That's why lots of times I'll say sometimes like, we will be doing this for 10 more seconds. So then we go down to 10, then I will count down from 4 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, as opposed to counting down the number of repetitions, because then it gives people the opportunity to work up to their full potential. Try to deepen your voice when you're projecting it. This may not be a natural sound for you, but you can try and deepen it. That will help protect against some voice struggles. Try and match verbal cues with your movements. So saying that you're moving your left leg and you at this point are mirroring them. So if you were actually saying moving your left leg, you're going to move the leg that's on their left side, which would be your right leg. Otherwise, if you say move your left leg, you're moving your left leg. If you are mirroring them, they get confused and are not sure what to do. Make sure you use positive, encouraging language. You know, 10 seconds left, you can do it. I mean, there are tons of examples. And again, being genuine with the things that you would say to people to help encourage them to move a little bit faster or give them that strength to go that 10 seconds or 30 seconds longer. Make sure that you ask for clarification or signals of understanding. So sometimes I'll say, again, if we're going to be doing the Tabata drill, I do take probably 30 seconds and get them all set up for it. And are we ready to go? Everyone got it? Allow them to nod their head or whatever. Lots of times in aquatic fitness, you are not going to get everyone saying, yes, I've got it. And you're not going to be able to hear them necessarily anyway, especially if you're in a really big group. If you're looking for more information on cueing, page 248 of your textbook, as well as page 110, has a lot more cueing guidelines and common cueing errors. That's something really to watch out for. There's many different ways to give feedback. One instance of giving feedback really comes to mind when I think about this. I had been teaching classes for only probably about 6 months at this time. And I had a lady come to me and say, I need you to make sure that you are not telling me all the time what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing things to the best of my ability, and I've quit the last girls class because I just didn't feel that that she was understanding that the things that she was asking me to do, I was just unable to do. So it's something that's kind of always stayed with me. So I want to make sure that people walk away not feeling picked on and not feeling that they haven't had the opportunity to give me some feedback and have me give them some feedback as well. So there's 3 methods that we can use to help us give feedback to our participants so they can get the most out of our exercise class without it feeling like it's just a negative comment. So the first method that we're going to talk about is called the sandwich method. So basically in the sandwich method, you're going to start off saying something positive that you see, then offering a correction, then concluding with a positive statement. So for instance, wow, Brenda, you were working really hard today. It seems like though, if you just, stood up a little bit straighter, you'd be able to turn on the core in the ski, which would help you create some extra strength in the core. I have noticed in the past few weeks that it seems like you're moving a lot faster and you're feeling a little bit more better about the activities that you're doing. So great job. That is an example of using the sandwich method. The next method is called the keep, stop, start method. So in order to start this method, you're going to start by stating something that they should keep doing. Keep working hard. Then mention the thing that they should stop doing. Letting their chin drop down towards their chest. Then finish or state how to correct it. Just lifting up your head just a little bit. Again, eyes looking out to the front of the pool will help correct this, and you won't end up with such a sore neck or back at the end of the class. So again, this is an opportunity. It's similar to the sandwich method. You're going to talk about things that they're doing well, things that they should stop doing, and what they should start doing to help them kind of move through that. The last one is called Ask, Tell, Ask. It is great for seniors or those who have done a lot of aquatic fitness. Ask a client how it feels to do the exercise that way. See if they can tell you what hurts or feels wrong, and then repeat it back to them, giving supportive alternatives and modifications. I often have people come to class and say, normally this activity is great for me, but for some reason today it's hurting my knee, or I twisted my knee, on the weekend or something like that. So again, so you can ask them what feels wrong. So is it moving sideways? Is it moving front or back? Is it that impact on the bottom of the pool? Then you can tell them what they can do to fix it, or some kind of alternatives, and then ask them again to see if that's something that has actually fixed the problem. I use humor a lot to keep feedback light. It's funny because when I'll say, I talked about Shirley early on, but so Shirley, for instance, if I say, here's an example of Shirley, doing this activity right, they'll joke around and they say, oh my goodness, she is the teacher's pet. She's the teacher's pet. But I will do this to participants, and I try to move it around so that, so that the teacher's pet changes. But at the same point, I also make fun of myself a little bit when I'm doing activities and say, this is what I used to do, and, I needed someone to tell me to do it this way or that sort of thing. So again, you want to make sure that adults They want to learn. They want to choose to come back to your class, and they want to make sure that they're not feeling ridiculed by the feedback that you're giving them. Benefits of using humor. So last class, one of the things that we did that was kind of fun was we had everyone come up with a nickname for themselves. So this was a lot of fun. It was an opportunity for people to reinvent themselves. Again, because my class is small, this is something that I can do that doesn't take a lot of time and gives people kind of an opportunity to laugh at each other. So one of the things that is a benefit of using humor is that it improves the immune function in the body. It helps to decrease stress. It releases endorphins. It reduces fatigue, especially if they have done a ton of Tabata drills that day. It can help to decrease anger, tension, or negative emotions. It can increase creativity and receptiveness to learning. It's funny when I ask participants sometimes, what their favorite flower is, or, if they could choose any nickname in the world, which one would they choose? I find that a lot of them have stepped out of that creative opportunity, in some of their parts of their lives. And this is a great opportunity for them to kind of regain it back, and something that feels safe and fun. Now let's talk about 4 different communication styles that you can use. And I have to say, at one time or another, I have used all of these, sometimes even in the same class. Number 1, the minimizer. The minimizer is someone who would say something like, "It's not that bad." These statements may help stop a constant complainer, but many who receive this type of communication perceive that their feelings are not valid or respected. For instance, a time that I might use this one is when ladies get in the pool at the beginning of class and they talk about how cold it is. And meanwhile, I know what the temperature is of the pool, and so I might say something like, "You know what, let's just, sometimes I'll just glaze right over it and say, "You know what, let's just get moving, and soon enough you'll be warm." So again, it's not validating necessarily the emotion that that it's cold in the pool. It is minimizing the information, and I do find that in certain situations like this one, it does minimize the number of complaints. Cheerleader. Again, this is something that I find I do on a regular basis. "You're doing great." Everyone likes a little bit of encouragement, but if it's done too much, it can be felt as if it is insincere or irritating. Make sure to use encouraging statements that are specific, relevant, and truthful. So it might be something like, if we are in a really long drill, we have been working really hard, instead of cheering them on the entire way through, maybe it's just that last 10 seconds. "You can do it. 10 seconds left. Come on, ladies, let's go." That sort of thing. So you want to make sure that you are using encouraging statements that are specific, relevant, and truthful. So again, I'm not saying anything that they don't already know. They are working hard. We do have 10 seconds to go, and they can actually make it. The advisor. This exercise improves your muscle endurance. Remember that for advice to be effective, it has to be wanted. Just shouting facts at the class will not stick. I do tend to quiz my classes a little bit. We talk about the physical activity guidelines and how many minutes it takes in order to be counted in the physical activity guidelines. The answer is 10, by the way. So, but if I was just shouting constant facts at them, you need this many servings of this kind of vegetable, or, let's everyone get your heart rate up to 150 beats per minute because, it has to make sense. It has to make sense. It has to be relevant to what they're doing. And it has to be something that, that they're interested in hearing. The reflector. The reflector is someone who takes what is being said, packages it, and sends it back to the person who said it. So for instance, "I hear what you are saying and I understand," is to reflect and repeat back what the individual has told you. So for instance, maybe you may end up in a situation where you have something that happens maybe on the side of the pool. Someone says something and someone else gets upset about it. You can understand why someone would get upset. This could be a situation where you say, "I hear what you're saying, I understand, And then you can decide at that point where you want to go with that information. It helps people feel validated. It helps people know that you understood and heard them. And it really is a good communication tool to make sure that what you heard was actually what they said. Page 250 and 252 look at some of these communication styles. This is an opportunity for us to think about what we would do in this situation. So thinking about everything that we've talked about in this last chapter, think about the situation. Julia has been coming to your class for years. With consistency, she has made great improvements in her fitness level. She has started complaining that the class is feeling like the intensity levels are too low, yet she talks most of the class with her friends. How do you communicate with her? This is definitely a challenge. I think anyone who's been teaching aquatic fitness for a long time has come across something similar to this. So basically, what is the right answer? Well, there isn't one. That's why I'm going to leave it with you. If you have questions and want to know how I would or how another aquatic fitness instructor might answer this, it might be time to write down your answer, write down this question, and take it to one of us for review.